And we need people.
It's a long road.
Mason.
There we go. All right. Okay, give me a minute here. All right. Nick Mason, can you hear me?
I can. How are you folks tonight?
All right, doing well. We can hear
Good.
you.
Good deal. Hey, if you guys don't mind, I think just to make a statement, it is absolutely a massive morality issue. And I think at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is what it leads to. And it leads to addiction. Addiction. And people that don't know about addiction, they just go along with the common flow of things. But it's all the same. I think that the endorphins that are released through different means of things in this world that are addictive, and people get different highs, if I might use that word, off of addictions. And it doesn't matter if it's pornography, if it's drugs, or if it's gambling.
Yep.
And I said all that to say this. I didn't grow up in a church family. I didn't grow up in a religious family. And I've come to a knowledge of God's truth and tried to lead my family that direction. And over the years, I've spoke to my dad and my mom. My dad ended up obeying the gospel about 7 years ago. But my mom, she never did. And she had a gambling problem. She had a horrible gambling addiction. And a few years ago, what she ended up doing was she gambled their entire life savings, and she quit making the mortgage payment. And then when she quit making the mortgage payment, they were going to foreclose on the house. This was unbeknownst to my dad or to me or anybody else. She kept it all a secret right up until the time that the home was to be sold on the courthouse steps the following Monday. And an investor showed up on the Monday prior, and he was looking to see what he was going to be trying to bid on or purchase. Basically, does the home have any windows, a roof? It was a nice home. And he didn't come up to the door or anything, but my mom, she saw him out there, and she went out and she addressed him. Now, I don't know what dialogue they had, but I know this. My mom was very upset because the wolves were at the door now. You see, she'd lost their home. And she walked back into the house, and she picked up my dad's 357 Magnum. She went back out into the front yard. And she addressed this man, and he was leaving. He got in his car. She scared him to death. And then she took the handgun. And she committed suicide right there in the front yard of my dad's house. So anybody that wants to tell me that this is not a moralistic issue, gambling will ruin lives. Alcohol ruins lives. Drugs ruin lives. Any type of these addictions, they take over people. I don't call in here tonight, Micah. I'm not calling to be Debbie Downer. I'm calling to be a live example of a Christian that has watched this ruin people's lives. From a moralistic perspective, it's wrong, and it takes over. I won't take you guys' night up, but I would love to have an opportunity to talk with any of those people on the legislation board and let them know exactly what I think. You see, when Daniel's friends would not bow down to that image, because God has already set the laws. And when we go against what moralistic law, you can't legislate moralistic values. God has already done that.
Yeah.
And when anything that is opposed to what God says it's already been judged. So thank you for letting me take a few minutes or just a moment. But any of your callers or your listeners or anybody that might hear this broadcast worldwide that you guys affect, I want you guys to know I appreciate what you do for the kingdom. But there are people that are hurting, and there are people that are so negatively impacted by the things of this world, and it takes over. It really does. And depression sets in, and clinical depression is a real thing, but it's all brought about by sin, I believe. That's a different discussion. But thanks for letting me share my story. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Brother Mason. Yeah, that's definitely powerful illustration to go along
Amen.
with our point. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
You guys stay blessed.
All right. You have a great night. Thank you. And I'm sure if we if I had reached out to some folks at the recovery hall
Oh, yeah.
and to let them know what we were talking about, and if they wanted to share some of their stories, you and I could have just sat back for the hour and let them tell their stories. And here's
Handed each other tissues.
right, yeah, no joke.
Not kidding.